And we are live, everybody, for another day on the Jits-guy podcast. My guest today is a good friend, somebody who I've known for a while now in the UAE, and somebody I look up to on many, many parallels of Jiu-jitsu. And I'm excited to introduce him to you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Cassio Martins, brother. Thank you so much for joining.
And my pleasure. My pleasure. It's amazing to be here sharing.
I see you rocking those shades, man. And I'm telling everybody, I've been talking about it. You are the guy that knows what he's doing, man, in fitness and mentality and jiu-jitsu.
Man, it's hard to start something. Actually, I didn't start anything, but and between my friends and between everybody, they call me a little bit weirdo because of these glasses, you know. So every time that I message somebody from home, I forget that I'm using them. And they just go, what is this?
What are you doing, Abu Dhabi?
Have to explain everything.
First the camels, now the glasses. What's this?
Man, you know what they're doing to you.
Exactly. It's funny. We share this in common. My friends and my family, they're always excited to see me. After a time, they don't see me because I've always got into something new, you know?
Yeah, man. Like there is one old singer. He's already passed away from Brazil. He has this say, I don't really know how to translate, but I'll try to tell you an idea. It's like he say in his music, I prefer to be this kind of constant change than be like this old fashion, like stuck, you know, guy, you know, so
man,
it's more or less like this.
It's kind of funny you say that because we live in a time that we're experiencing more change. Like we grew in the internet revolution and all of this, but today especially we live in a time of supreme change, and the people that are not comfortable with changing are suffering the most.
Yeah, and that has everything related to education. Like if like, you educate your kids in this way of like thinking ahead and like trying to connect dots like between fields and like try to think like try to analyze the data, the information that they get, like that's the big difference, you know.
I think that goes into the part of like education of the kids, but education of the parents as well, right? Because most of us, we don't have instruction manuals on kids, right? They don't come with a convenient user guide. We don't know what to do. We know we want the best for them, and sometimes that intention, even though it's good, it comes out bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes we want them to be confident, but we end up like shouting at them towards being confident and not scared, which is the wrong way, right?
Like it's hard to say wrong way because like we all humans, we all have emotions, and nobody is like it's 100% like every day, and it's not good for us to be no emotion, right? Like not good at all, because the emotions made our decisions. Right? Like you can think that, oh yeah, I'm gonna think if I'm gonna accept this job or no, and then you keep thinking. That can be a reasonable decision, but in your day-by-day life, it's not possible to have 100% reasonable decisions, and that's when the emotions come. Because with the emotions, you have patterns, because everything that you triggered from before. It's going to in the future going to help you to make a nice decision.
Yeah, so, to shortcut. If we have to analyze and study everything every time, it'll take us forever to make decisions. So we look for shortcuts. You're right.
Yeah, not possible. The emotions are shortcuts in a sense. They're more than that, I think.
It's funny you mentioned this, Cassio, because I don't know if you've read the book Emotional Intelligence. It's like quite a famous psychology book. I know you're into this stuff. Have you ever read it?
I have been reading. I'm 50% of the book right now.
Nice. So you might have crossed this already. So basically, they talk about what is emotional intelligence versus IQ, right? Intelligence scoring. So they're saying if we take a person with extremely high IQ and zero emotional intelligence, it would look like somebody like the modern Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if you saw the BBC show Sherlock Holmes with the new young guy. He's incapable of making emotional connections or understanding fear or this stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
The one that he's in New York?
New York? No, not that one. That's the Sherlock Holmes, the movie. There's the TV show, BBC. It's like the white, pale British guy.
Oh, no, I didn't watch it.
They give this example.
Anyways, I know who's Martial.
Okay, okay. So they give this example where if somebody follows pure intelligence, then he ends up making more mistakes than a person that follows pure emotional intelligence, because he ends up disregarding fear factors, emotional factors, sensitivities, which is part of being a social animal, a human being, right?
Yeah, empathy is one of those, right? Like,
oh my God, yes.
The like, how can I say, the ability to sense the others. It's the ability to sense yourself.
Yeah, so true.
If you don't have this perspective, like, you're gonna tell me that somebody from your family passed away, and I'm gonna be here like freezing cold. Okay, because
yes,
I have no feelings for myself when that happened. Why are you gonna have feelings for you? Like, we're all gonna share that. So
how can you understand someone without connecting with them?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's a big thing with jiu-jitsu as well. How can you learn from somebody that you don't connect with?
Man, like, jiu-jitsu is all about connection in my point of view. Like, when you work with kids, adults, like beginners and advanced, like, it's all about connection. You can feel when the person is not there with you, and you can feel who is 100% on the mat too. So
yeah, that's
it's
very
all
true.
about them.
That's very true. And I find it uniquely so, and we're going to get into this a lot, but I just wanted to touch with this. With kids, you almost feel like you have to shift and mold yourself as a teacher in order to synchronize with them, because you cannot synchronize with all the kids. Some are high energy, some are low, some are shy, some are active. You have to kind of shapeshift to really deal with kids. You cannot be one way.
Yeah, the playful aspect, the playful feeling from a kid can only be feeling from the teacher if the teacher is participating. So it's mainly this: if you're not playing as you are teaching, like in the same time that you're teaching, it's not 100% playful. Do you understand? Like, to feel what they're feeling, you need to engage. You need to be participating. So
very true. Like, that makes me imagine that traditional martial arts, sit down, hold a stick, you go sit, do this. It's going to be very difficult to connect. I mean, it has succeeded. It has led to some amazing martial artists, but it has missed out on maybe 80% of the class. The 20% that succeeded, good job. But the 80% that never want to see martial arts again is probably because of it.
Yeah, I think like, I was listening to Wendell podcast, like, amazing guy. I look like him as a model, like whole model. But he's saying that his teacher, that was his father's teacher, where he played, right? So,
yes.
But like, I think what you're saying, like, back before those generations, right? Like, way before, like, it works. You can learn from that system. But as you said, it doesn't benefit most of the people, and also shapes you in a way that it's not for this moment in our society.
That's true. It's interesting because you have two sides of the coin. You have what you're saying, and then you have parents. I don't want to get too deep on the parent side, but we will have to when we get into this conversation. But you have parents that want discipline for their kids. They're not coming to jiu-jitsu from the child's perspective. They're coming to it from their perspective, and they want a military structure for their kid, but that's not necessarily what will work with their kid. That's something that I've noticed. Like, I've had people who come up to me, I want to teach my son discipline. I want him to do push-ups. It's like, kid will run away from this shit. He'll not enjoy jiu-jitsu, right?
Nah, yeah. In my point of view, like, to teach discipline, I think that it's something that you have to do even though you don't really want to do, right? Okay. But to getting this point to a kid, their world and their understanding, it depends on the age, of course, but like, it's something that that it needs to be really careful, right? It's like this, okay? Like, if you have a kid that wants to be good at something, right? To teach discipline, it's teaching them that to get to be good in that thing, you have like a path, and you have like steps before that. And so maybe teaching him in an easy way, making him play, you can make that thing more soft, more easy, so he can understand that, okay, even though I don't like this,
Mhm.
it gonna leads me to that target that I want.
So
It
true.
can be anything, right? So
So true.
that's a way to teach discipline through like a
It's
sport or
it's
martial
so
art.
absolutely true because like I've had this situation where I would teach neighbors' kids and other kids around us just to start jujitsu, and they'd come for the first class and they'd see the kids jumping and playing wars and tagging and stuff like that. Be like, no, this is, and they like, are you sure this is what this? Are you teaching them jujitsu? And like I have to take them on the side and explain like I gotta get them hooked in order for me to be able to give them some instructions. I cannot
Yeah,
start with instructions. They'll run for the hills.
yeah. Kids, they tend to learn from. It's weird because even the Montessori, it's a method, the Montessori method.
Yes.
Uh, the kids, younger kids, learning from older kids. Okay,
Hmm.
this is like it's natural. For example, here in my home, I have 2 years old girl
Hmm.
and 8 years old boy,
Wow. Okay.
and the 2 years old, like she copies every single thing from what he's doing, but ask her to copy me in some things. She won't,
Huh.
because somehow she knows that, oh, that's a kid and this is not a kid, you know? She
Yes.
knows. So, and it's not about like your size or like your beard. It's not about that. It's about the way that they interact, the connection that we were talking before. So to connect to the kids, you need to be one of them, and there is no other way.
That is so true, man. You remind me of this like study I watched, and they were talking about how to convince kids to do things that you want them to do. And they showed that when adults in commercials for kids classes watching, when the adults held the toy or held the item or talked to them about weight loss, only 10 to 15% of the kids retained even the information, not even got convinced, retained the information. They just, as
Mm-hmm.
soon as they saw an adult, attention dropped. And then and then you see they start changing the age groups. They tried older, like their grandmother. Surprisingly, the older age group got more retainment of information, but the most retainment of information was when they got a kid their age to hold that item or to talk about it. It was almost like an 80% retention for kids.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly like the Montessori method
Yeah.
that I was talking to you, because uh, you can teach. It's not like leaving the kids teaching each other, and that's going to be the answer for everything. It's not that, but it's teaching older kids responsibility and like sharing social skills, and
Yes.
like, and when you're teaching also, when you are sharing something to somebody, you also learning for yourself, as we are doing right now, right?
Very true.
And the other ones are going to be more interested about it,
Very true.
like the being interested about something is to get that thing and put that in your life
Hmm.
and act as with this, like this is like
Yes.
the way that you learn.
Well said, 100%. You know, Cassio, I never got a chance to even ask you this because we always meet and it's training, Pujado, let's go. And like we're always running away from the mats because there's another group or we got to shut down. So I wanted to ask you, like, where does your jiu-jitsu journey start? Like, you're somebody that has such a fresh character. Like, you're connecting so well with kids. Did you start very young?
Well, I started in judo actually when I was
Ah.
3 years old. My
Ooh.
father, yeah, my father was a gym's owner, and that time in Brazil, gyms were not like it is right now. So
Okay.
they have like gymnastics and different types of activities and few equipments, right? Few
Yes.
equipments, and he is a brown belt in judo, if I'm not wrong, because he never told me like if he's black or brown, but he never trained with me too. So he
Ah,
always taught me something, but outside of the mat. But
see.
because he was always like that guy taking care of the business, right? And
Yes.
he had all like really good teachers like in the mat, so
Mm-hmm.
I could learn from Fernando. It's like one person that taught me a lot, and like I was 3 and I stopped like when I was yellow belt, so I think it's like 5 years training, and
Wow.
till now I remember his face. I remember something that he was teaching me. I remember I say like from Fernando, like my first teacher, judo teacher. He was
Yes.
to say, um, the anxious guy, he gonna eat the food burned and also raw at the same time. So don't be anxious. Don't rush
Interesting.
into it, right? Right? Like you can eat the food like raw because inside it's raw and outside burned because like,
Yes.
you try to cook that thing too fast. So.
And you remember that from being 3 to 8 years old?
Yes, yes, yes. I
Unbelievable.
remember since
How
now.
much of an impact these people leave on our lives, huh?
Man, it's crazy. And when during the training, I also remember like repetitions, and I was like, this is my strongest memory. Like, um, it's I think it was the mentality of the time, but I used to compete a lot when I
Yeah.
was a judo player, and my father used to say, I don't remember that,
Okay.
but I remember 2 or 3 tournaments that he used to say that I was really good. I know that I saw the medals at home, but he said that I was really good. So I
Okay.
could just remember the pressure on me on competing,
Mm.
but I didn't really like the feeling.
Okay.
I didn't really like the feeling. I felt so bad when I was there, and like all that crowd, and like
You felt
and
the bad feelings from the environment of the competition or from the pressure of your family?
from the environment, from the pressure to have to do it.
Okay.
So I learned from that. Like since then, I when I got my orange belt,
Mm.
I stopped. I asked my father, I don't want anymore. I don't want anymore, and I stopped and never came back. And I came back to jiu-jitsu.
It came back to
And
jiu-jitsu or started jiu-jitsu?
yes, no, I came back after years later to jiu-jitsu. I
Ah.
started jiu-jitsu with 14
Okay. Okay.
as a white belt. So I trained from 5 years ahead to 8 at
Yes.
judo. And like at that time, also we used to train on the floor. I have
Ah,
pictures of
Newaza.
that, like we
Okay.
train. Yeah. So when I came back, I was a teenager. When I came back to the mat, I was a teenager. But from 8 to the time that I came back, I was traumatized by that because
Wow.
I was feeling so like I don't know, like I can't really describe it
I
in words,
completely
like
understand
the
like the
feeling,
anxiety, the cortisol levels. Some kids they don't like it. Some kids don't want it.
Yeah, like the way that was presented me, maybe I don't
Yeah.
know, because after I was thinking, man, I have to challenge myself because when I got in 14, I got in tournaments and nobody asked me to do it.
I
Even
see.
even the coach, like Daniel Braga, was like my coach at that
Oh
time.
wow.
He's a black belt, and he used to train with Helio Gracie. So uh, he was all about no competition. that's that's the funny
Interesting.
part.
That's why you
Oh, like
probably went towards him.
it's self-defense and knife, like one wood knife, self-defense.
Nice. I
Like,
like that.
and I got my blue belt with this guy, really nice guy, with also whole model. But he never pushed me to the competition. And me and one more friend that's he's not playing jiu-jitsu anymore.
Mhm.
Like we okay, let's sign up to a tournament. And then all the click came,
Mm.
like all the trigger came, but I said, no, I have to chase this. And that's
Nice.
how I get stuck in jiu-jitsu. Since then I never stopped.
It was your decision to start jiu-jitsu again, or was it also your father or family?
No, my decision, my decision.
Nice. Okay, and
I
then competition is what solidified it for you.
I think more the experience. I never look to be a champion.
Mm.
I always look to improve myself and like trying to understand what was happening
Yes.
and try to test stuff. And truly, like I was never chasing the medal. I was just chasing the learning, like living, like or you learn, either you win. You know, like either you win, either you learn. I was chasing that
Sure.
philosophy, honestly.
Sure. And coming from a background of a family that worked in the martial arts business, did you see this being your career or were you just doing it as a love and then it just happened to be your career?
No, it happened to be. It happened to
Okay.
be
What was the plan
because
supposed to be?
well, I was really good in chemistry and like biology,
Mm.
and like I was going towards that part, and
Interesting. Now the
yeah,
glasses make sense.
No, I forgot everything about it, man.
I
Forget
know.
it. Don't ask me anything about cancer.
I
Forgot
know.
everything, man.
Uh,
I
the
was just
mad
good in the high
scientist.
school. Yeah, because in Brazil you have like this test to get into the university. They don't check your background. You
God.
have a test, a specific exam, so you can get into. So you have to be really good at something specific that that
Okay.
gonna get you gonna open the door to university. So I
Interesting.
was I was really good in chemistry and biology,
Mm.
but I was thinking, oh my god, is that what I really like to do? And
Mm.
I always worked out. I always like do some type of exercises. I was into like soccer, handball. I used to swim. I used to play basketball, handball. Like I was
Wow.
this sport guy that does everything
Wow.
and nothing at the same time. But like you're not good in anything, but you a little bit like you can do a little bit of things like in everything.
Yes.
So I decided to do physical education. So
See,
I
that's
have
where it came in.
my degree. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
you continued and you got your degree. When did you start? Like, when does jiu-jitsu come into the play where you're teaching and involved in it?
well, physical education in Brazil. It's a course that and and back then 2008 it's 2008 when I got my degree. It's like a PT and a personal trainer course,
Yes.
like a really fully completed
Mm-hmm.
with a bachelor together. It was
Very,
all combined.
very
So
cool.
you couldn't choose if oh no I'm gonna just go to this area. No, I'm gonna just go teaching kids in school. So I was going towards also the personal training aspect. I didn't look for teaching kids, but I had to have that experience, and we have to do internship, and we have
Mm.
like to learn about it. And then as soon as I put my eyes on that, like I said, this is super nice.
Mm-hmm.
This is really cool, and like this is this is how I start to like how I
Interesting.
start to like this subject. Yeah.
So you started to like it through purely physical education and personal training, not much to do with jiu-jitsu at that point, right?
No. Yeah, to thoroughly
Okay.
physical education. Yeah, for sure.
And when you graduated, were you like a black belt, brown belt by then?
When I graduated, I think I was a brown belt. Yeah, I was brown
Brown belt.
belt
And I see some pictures of you, like you were also competing every now and then,
all the
right?
time, all
Mm.
the time
Okay.
competing.
How were you doing? Were you winning? Were you placing podium?
Well, when I was blue belt was horrible for me because I stopped training with Daniel Braga.
Mm.
That was like pure self defense,
Hmm.
and I went to Breno Angelo, which was like he got like a third place in pé de chumbo time, like world champion.
Hmm.
So he got the third place, and he was only jiu-jitsu sport. So
Gotcha.
I had to adapt myself to that type of training. It was
Okay.
totally new for me. So when I got blue belt with Danielle, but when I went to Breno,
Huh.
I start also competing because I like to compete it, and
Okay.
they like competing too. So we were traveling all around Brazil, like competing, south of Brazil, southwest, like São Paulo, and like
Hmm.
a lot of places competing. And like that's when I get involved in the competition. So when I was uh, blue belt, man, I didn't do anything. Like there is one guy, even Rodolfo Vieira, like really famous guy, he said that, oh, that was the most tough guy that I used to train with. His name is Zé Carlos. He was like 14
Uh-huh.
and beating up big guys in the adult division, like
Wow.
from DDR,
Hmm.
DDR.
Okay.
Man, like it's getting to the tournament
Uh-huh.
and getting him in your division. It was like, oh my
It's all over.
god.
It's all over. The stars aligned. I'm gonna lose.
I just need to survive to the triangle. Like,
Oh
please, I
wow.
don't want to get into the. It was amazing, man.
He was that popular at a blue belt level.
Yes, man.
Wow.
Yes. Really good, really good.
When did you
And
feel your jiu-jitsu starting to take off? Was it like at the purple belt?
purple belt, yeah, purple belt. I
Okay.
tried to understand. I was never this guy like um, memorizing
Hmm.
techniques. I
Okay.
I always liked conceptions. So when I start to understand that, like I start to go better to go better in the tournaments. So when I was purple belt, I was and there is one federation, FJJ Rio, FJJ Rio, RIO. So it's the state federation from Brazil, Jiu-Jitsu State Federation. So I got like the first place in the rank as a purple belt in my division. Yeah, the state tournament, I got third place. I lost for this guy, for example.
He followed you. The curse. He gave the curse.
Yeah. National tournament, it was really hard because like we didn't have like opens at that time. No winter open, like summer open, and like we didn't have also like a BJJF. I don't know when they start, but it was more CBJJ.
Yes.
And like if you would fight like the Brazilian tournament, for example, you would meet everybody from Brazil, like everyone, and you have just that tournament. And then they start like the South American tournament, but in that time it was there were just two, so it was really hard. It was a really high level tournament.
I get you. You said that you didn't like to memorize techniques, you like to conceptualize. What do you mean by conceptualize? Like what about that helped your jiu-jitsu?
Well, it's that thing, for example, like, I want to pass you a guard, okay? And I'm on your side, and I want to stabilize the passing guard. What I have, where do I have to hold? Your collar, your hands? Like, no, I have to hold, either control your hip, towards the other side, or I have to control your head.
Yes.
One of the other. So that works better for me as the way that I understand things.
So systematically approaching each position rather than being like, okay, how many techniques I have? Americana, Kimura. It's just, I'm inside control. I need to secure these three. And naturally, the other things will come, you mean?
Yeah. I think gives me, it has good, bad points, I think. Because like when you systemize something and you really repeat that part, like you get better and faster and stronger in that one. But also, if I do something totally different that you never saw, you have no reaction for that. That's the strong and the weak points. But the conception, it's all the way around, in my opinion.
Man, that's a huge point. That's a huge point because, like, as a person who coaches kids or coaches somebody that you want to become a champion, we talk a lot about fundamentals, about concepts of jiu-jitsu. But after speaking to quite a few people, I'm getting this resonating message, which is if you train like everybody else, you'll get results like everybody else. Foundations is important, but sometimes your muscle memory could harm you by following the same protocol everybody follows. Because like, if there's a way to get armbar from mount that everybody learns and everybody drills, then there's a chance that so many people have the sensors on their body for it. But if I can throw an armbar from the back, that in a different way than people are used to, that's when shit hits the fan. That's when people that are higher level than you fall for it because they haven't seen it before. And I think that's the balance that you have to do as a coach, right?
Yes, I think you should look at the basic as like your first pile of tiles, let's say, from your wall.
Gotcha.
And that should be really strong. Like that's when I think like you have to try the most, because the basic is the strongest part of jiu-jitsu, right? And what means the basic for me, like which position, for example, it's a good position, it's a bad position, because kids, they think like in this way, like, okay, this is guard. Okay, what means guard? Like they don't understand it this way, especially the kids that they are not interested on your class at the first moment. So when we're talking about kids, you have to have a strong base, and you can, as a conception, you can make this strong base, teaching them, for example, this is a bad position, this is a good position. It seems simple, but for them, it's a click, because I could say top position, bottom position. I could say, okay, this one you're gonna use your legs, and this one you're gonna use your arms. But the way that you present, if it's a way that they can understand really fast, it changed everything, right? It changed everything.
That's huge. That's huge, because so many people want to focus on the details with the kids, but you're saying focus on how they feel receiving the information. And kids want simple. That's perfect. That's very true. So,
yeah.
I mean, you're somebody who has multiple layers of value to offer people listening today, and I want to sort of peel at them one at a time. The first layer, I'm sorry to compare it to an onion, but man, you have such an interesting background and approach to jiu-jitsu. That's why, like, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Cassio, when I first met you, I saw you. You were not the tallest guy. You were not the toughest guy. But you were somebody who I felt had coordination on his body more than most. First time I met you, you probably didn't even know me. I was a white belt. I was training on the mats next to you. After I finished training with Zumbi, I sat down because I wanted to watch the black belts. Like, it was one of the first time I saw the black belts training in was it? I think it was Officers Club, not Arena.
Oh, there.
I think Officers Club. Yeah, that's the first time that I saw you training, because Igor Silva, Ricardo Evangelista, all these guys were training there at that time.
Oh yeah, that was a tough train.
Man, can you imagine? Like, I'm a white belt just starting. On those same mats, I saw Braulio Estima preparing for ADCC. I saw you and the guys training. For me, I'm like, holy shit, how can I ever get to this point? So, I mean, one thing I did notice about you is your athleticism, and you seemed like a guy very aware of his body. You were doing the stretches, you were doing the movements, and you always, every time I met you since then, it's always been feedback. Functional patterns, my body doing this. Now you're wearing these glasses. I was correct with my sense. Let's talk a little bit about the physical side of jiu-jitsu. What do you believe is the minimum requirement for jiu-jitsu? Because we've all heard this is for the old, the weak, the woman, the child. But when we get real about it, there is a minimum requirement for jiu-jitsu. Because you start, whatever, then you have to reach a certain point to start getting good at jiu-jitsu. What do you believe that point is?
Let me see if I understand your question. Okay.
Please.
You mean the minimum as a person can move their body?
Yeah.
Like, for example, which disability could stop somebody to play jiu-jitsu? That's what you mean? Or like,
so let's say somebody's 130 kilos, has never done jiu-jitsu before, has never done any sport before. He could go in, fall on his wrist and break his wrist. He could, like, there could be many elements. Do you find that anybody can start jiu-jitsu no matter what your physical background is? Or should somebody start doing something before jiu-jitsu?
Well, there are some physical conditions that I wouldn't advise training, right?
Okay.
But I think thinking about the minimum that the person should have, I think first it's being interested on it, because if you're interested on it, like, for sure you're gonna start eating at least the meal before, right? Before the training, you're gonna start eating better, right? Because you know, like, if I know some guys that they drink Coke and like burgers before training, but like that's not really good for you in a sense of digestion or performance in the mat. So it won't work forever, right? But I think if you are interested on learning, I think that's the minimum that you can have, because like, jiu-jitsu, it's like we understand as a lifestyle. That's the first point. Second point, in a matter of physical aspect, you can work on your grips. You can work from outside. You have like amazing trainers that train athletes, like boxing or even jiu-jitsu. John Danaher, like, he's outside the mat.
Yes.
He can point and describe things. So I think first thing is being interested to do it. Second thing, like the basic one, it's being able to feel. What I mean about it, I had an experience in a class, like, for disability. I'm sorry about this part of the English, because I don't know exactly the words to don't offend anybody, to use it.
Understand you perfectly.
To teach a class to disabilities, people with the disabilities, right? But it was mental disabilities. So even though they couldn't move, because some part of their body was really stiff,
yes,
and some others like really soft,
mm-hmm.
and the way that they couldn't control, they could feel 100%. So I used to tell him, it was really fun. Like I used to tell him, like one of them, like I remember to nowadays, like his mouth was kind of tilted to the side,
Mm-hmm.
and like as soon as I grabbed him on side control, I was on top.
Okay.
He couldn't sit. I was on side control. When I started holding him,
mm-hmm.
he started to interact with me. He couldn't speak, but I could feel that he was like and trying to move to the side, you know,
Wow.
trying to escape from me.
Wow.
So just if you're interested, you're gonna be in the class.
Yes.
If you sense, you're gonna be able to train jiu-jitsu. But now a different level. Let's say movements. Okay, to be performing 100% of what jiu-jitsu needs, I
mm-hmm.
think. How can I say that? If you move, like we have like motor, fine motor and like gross motor, right?
Yes, exactly.
If you have your gross motor, which means walk, jumping, and throwing, running, that thing really well,
mm-hmm.
and like for both sides,
yes,
I think you're gonna be awesome in jiu-jitsu, right?
Interesting.
So yeah, for example, if you know zero from jiu-jitsu, you know zero techniques,
mm-hmm.
and you have a really good and well-developed gross motor skills, yeah, you're gonna be good in jiu-jitsu. You're gonna do well in jiu-jitsu.
And
right?
what about the fine motor skills?
The fine motor skills, I think
dexterity, fingers, all of these things that you're referring to.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you use that much in jiu-jitsu. I think
mm-hmm.
the grips, like if you're training with gi,
yes,
you're gonna kind of use that, but I don't think it will be a game
essential
changer for jiu-jitsu. Yeah, especially if you're training no gi, because you're gonna use like more hands like this.
I mean, I believe like Jean-Jacques Machado has a disability with his hand, and that never let him get his ass kicked. Like he was a very capable jiu-jitsu guy, despite.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked you this, Cassio, is because there's so many people that their excuse is, and I'm asking you this question for those people listening right now. I want to start, but I need to do this. I want to start, but I need to first lose weight. My response to them is like, how will you know if you don't start? Like, how will you know where you stand if you don't at least attend your first class to know what's good, what's wrong? And a lot of people, they attend their first class as well, just to be fair, and they feel so miserable, and like my body's like, they feel ashamed of themselves that they don't come back because they don't want to face it again. Like that's kind of why I wanted to. What would you say to those people that feel like their body's not ready for jiu-jitsu?
You can adapt the class to anyone. Like as I told you, like you just need to be interested about it. You have the senses, and that's all. Because for example, I had a friend that he gained weight so much. He had a problem. He gained weight so much. Like he got really fat, and then like he started jiu-jitsu before me.
Okay.
So I was black belt. It was 2016 now. I was pushing him, come back. And he finally tried to come back. He couldn't do 5 hip escapes because he was losing his breath. But if you go to the class and you understand your limits, you know, it's the self-knowledge, right? Like, okay, who am I? Which point am I? Oh, okay, that's my limit. Okay,
yes.
I'm confident that I'm gonna be doing that
within
as better as I can. Exactly, as better as I can. Because if I compare myself to somebody else, I'm gonna compare myself to Braulio Stima, I would throw my black belt away. You know, I did nothing close to what he did in terms of tournaments. I didn't achieve anything in terms of a tournament if I compare myself to somebody else. But if I compare myself to myself, from the past. So if you go, this friend of mine, he ended up like giving up, but he attended like to 3 classes, and like all the time I try to talk to him. Look, focus on what you're doing. Like last class you did this, this class we're gonna do the same, And if you feel nice about it, we give a little step forward. But
Yes.
yeah, but even though I think in that situation, as he was feeling uncomfortable with the others, he could just chase like a personal trainer or like a personal jiu-jitsu trainer, jiu-jitsu coach, if I
Sure.
can say that. It would be nice.
It's funny you bring this up. Okay, because this is where I'm going next. You mentioned if you want to do 100% of jiu-jitsu. Now, we're living in an age where jiu-jitsu has grown so much. It has gone from a martial art that people do because they're crazy, they're on the edge of society, or because they just love fighting. Today, it is a respectable gentleman martial art. It is the gentle art. Now you have professional celebrities on Instagram with 100,000 followers. They're doing physio, they're doing rehab, prehab, everything. Well, truly and genuinely, for not the average person, let's say the person who wants to do well in competition, what is the correct balance of physical training and jiu-jitsu? Is it essential to physically train to be a competitive BJJ athlete today?
No, I don't think so. I think you just need jiu-jitsu to be good at jiu-jitsu.
I like that answer.
Because you have like like we call sport trainings principles, right?
Yes.
And you have a couple of them. And one of those that I used to be a personal trainer also. Like I used to train athletes, right?
Yes.
And I have like one of my friends that he did really well. And he used to tell me like, I don't get tired. What are you doing? I don't get tired. The simple thing that I was doing was I tried to understand his game, which was like closing half guard. He used to pull half guard right away, right? And not a really beautiful game, but he used to hold, sweep in the end, and hold the guy there, and hold the guy there. So pretty easy to understand like which principles I should follow and which like fitness I should make him him develop, right? Yeah. But sorry, I lost the question. Sorry, I was thinking about.
You're actually answering the question indirectly, but I'm saying about the level of physical training that you need to pair with jiu-jitsu to succeed in competitions.
Oh, yeah. So, but before, that's why I was saying, before he started training with me, I'm not jiu-jitsu, like a physical training, physical conditioning with me, he was already a champion. Just only with jiu-jitsu. We have many cases, many cases that the person just trains jiu-jitsu. For example, I can give you a huge one, Marcelo Garcia.
Yes.
Like I consider him my teacher, okay? One of my teachers from this jiu-jitsu life, Henrique Rezende. Now he's in São Paulo teaching Aliança. Good friend of mine. He used to train with Marcelo Garcia like since he was young, and he used to tell me, Cassio, he doesn't work out. He just trained really hard jiu-jitsu, and sometimes just once a day, and he pedaled to the gym. So he was pedaling, so cycling, go to the gym, get there, train, and not do anything, and nothing else. So just so I think you just need jiu-jitsu.
You know what's very interesting, Cassio, is this is a revelation I had very recently about Middle East and jiu-jitsu. A lot of the people that come from Brazil, USA might have this issue as well, by the way, to a large extent, but a lot of people that come from Brazil, they live very active lifestyles. And it's not out of choice most of the time. It's because like they're trying to pursue career, work, study, eat, drive, cycle to the gym like Marcelo Garcia. Like you guys come from a very physically active culture. Middle East, on the other hand, we don't. Most of us, we cars from A to Z, air conditioning, we're sitting all day long, right? We're doing all of these things. And then we go to jiu-jitsu and we're like, do I need to physically train while doing jiu-jitsu? Yes, I think so. Because I think you're spending so much time atrophying your muscles throughout the day that when you come to jiu-jitsu alone, you start feeling pain more than you should because we go from 0 to 100. Like, for example, I'm sitting in the office 8 hours, right? I grab a bite at home, I grab my gi, I go to jiu-jitsu. Man, the warm-up is not enough to make up for 10 hours of sitting down.
I understand where you're coming from, yeah.
Do you agree that like this background needs more physical training then?
Of course, I think you shape your body the way
Mm.
that you use it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, as you said, if I sit all day,
Mm.
there will be a time that when I stand up, I will have the posture as I was sitting down. So it's like never stand up again. You know, even if I stretch my legs,
Yeah.
I'm still sitting down,
You're still
right?
sitting down. Exactly. We're
Yeah,
professional
because of
guard
the
players. We're born to be guard players.
put them back, back on the floor. They're gonna be like a turtle, right? Like you just spin like this.
But you know what? You know what? I tell you something. Try this next time you roll with a Middle Easterner that is not like a professional athlete or something. Like somebody from the Middle East who
Okay.
works that lifestyle or US. Flatten them out and half guard, you won the fight. There is no more resistance because their tension from there is so limited. Like we have like usually we suffer the most from lower back pain. We suffer the most from hip issues, and this is really caused by
I
sitting
did.
down all day.
I didn't know that, man. I really
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Remember,
Yeah,
before we train next time, just remember me that, please.
yeah, absolutely. You know something, Cassio. For everybody listening out there, I hope this helps them. I came to this realization within these last few months, and I talked to John Haddad on this podcast, who's a biomechanic therapist, and he told me one thing, and I promise you right now, you and everybody listening, and anybody that likes to play guard, get a tennis ball, put it on your hip flexor, lie down on it twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, stay on it for 10 minutes and move it around your quads. Oh my God, will it change your life? I just feel my back is better, my knees are better, everything's better that I suffer from because I'm sitting down and I'm shortening my hip all day.
Yeah, those muscles are pulling your hip in this direction, so it tilts
Anterior
that direction.
tilt.
Yeah, anterior tilt. Yeah,
exactly.
and like you feel like that's amazing. And also the iliopsoas, it's another muscle from inside.
Yes.
From inside, it goes straight to your spine. So if you see that lumbar like this, you know, it might be this muscle. It can be other things, but might be this muscle also time.
100%.
Hip flexors.
And that's why talking to people like you that are more advanced in their knowledge of physical therapy, people like John Haddad, biomechanics, functional patterns, people in jiu-jitsu really will benefit from this. Like, okay, now we talked about the Middle East. Let's talk about Brazilians doing jiu-jitsu. Guard players. They also screw their posture. Like, look at the Miao brothers. Fantastic jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Did you ever see them walking?
Yeah. I work in a world tournament in 2014 here, World Pro.
Yeah.
I saw them. Yeah, I saw them working.
Man, much love to them. It feels like they're holding it with duct tape, but like their posture, their butt is tucking in. It's like a cowboy butt. There's no butt. It's in because of how much they berimbolo and play. This tells you your body is what you ask it to do. And if you ask it to sit in a chair all day, you can't also ask it to be a gold medalist in jiu-jitsu.
We human beings, I think it's the most adaptive animals. So you're going to adapt to everything that you do the most. And like you were saying about this part of the meows, much respect to them too. And I was reading like the one article and comparing like injuries in novice and advanced, right? So the advanced people, they tend to don't get hurt that much.
True.
Right? Don't get hurt that much. But the how can I say the legs, the hands, the arms, the head, they tend let's say the black belt, brown belt, they tend to don't hurt that things that much. But the novice, they tend to hurt those areas that much. But for the so it's like this, right? Like once you are more experienced, you get less hurt, right? Also the weight, if your body weight is for example, you heavier than me for sure.
Yes.
So you tend to don't get that hurt than me. So when I'm 77, like you get hurt more often. So you have to take care of that too. And one other aspect, and really interesting, once you advance, people advance tends to feel more your lower back. So this article is specific saying that when you're a novice, you hurt more.
Okay.
But the extremes, right? Extremities. I don't know how to say that.
Extremities. Yeah, extremities.
Yeah, extremities and head, right?
Yes.
But when you are advanced, you hurt more your lower back. it might be because of this. It might be because of that.
100%.
Like, you don't release like your hip flexors, and then
you're shortening your anterior chain and lengthening the posterior chain. Like, if you think of your muscles like rubber bands, if you warm a rubber band and make it soft and loose, it's just not as strong. When you get a brand new fresh rubber band that's a little bit cold and you kind of pull it has tension. Most jiu-jitsu players that play a lot of guard, their lower back is a soft rubber band. Like, that's the issue that most people have, and their hamstrings. Oh my God.
Yeah, and depending of the game that you make, you tend to be more flexible with the time, which means that you lose this, we call it integrity. It's this ability to be tense in the right amount, right?
That's very true. That's very true. Interestingly enough, have you noticed the Meow brothers, when they get their back taken, it's an issue? This is something that's just thinking off the top of my head right now, because that makes sense. That makes sense, because when they get stretched out, I definitely notice that, and a lot of people that are guard players are uncomfortable when they get their back taken. That's just an observation on the side, though.
Yeah, no, I never noticed that. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're going to be watching some Meow brothers after this.
For sure.
So you were saying, with regards to the lower back, so you feel that somebody, once they get more advanced in jiu-jitsu in terms of skill and knowledge, they get injured less often?
Yes. In this article specifically, they saying overdue, right? So the lower belts, they tend to hurt more. And the reason was the overdue. So I think it's what they mean is like training more and also put themselves in a bad spot more often. Do you understand? So
yes, that's true.
That's more or less how I understand the situation. Because when you are more experienced, like at least I think like this, I don't wait myself to stretch my arm so I can tap. You know, you already trapped me. I already lost. It's not about like, trying to escape from a bar with my arms stretched already.
That's true.
So that's more or less how I understood.
I think this is the discussion, like moving from pairing training with jiu-jitsu, is you have a lot of people who come from a good physical training background, like bodybuilding, for example. I wouldn't call it good, but from a strength background. And then they start jiu-jitsu. They also tend to get injured much more because they use strength with bad technique. And usually that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. My thought about it is like they try to compensate situations. And I think like in the bodybuilding, like you have, it's a different sport. And when you're pushing like the bench press, right? Like it's sometimes it's about ego too, right? Like when you have like all these muscles, it's not everybody. People are looking for health. People are looking for a job, for example. Maybe you need that muscle to have your job, to do what you have to do. But some people, they have also the ego part, which means like I want to feel better with myself because I'm not feeling good with what I am right now. So I go to the gym. So
what jobs need a bench press?
Sorry. For example, like it's sad, but if you're a security guy and you're really thin and small, I suffered that. People are gonna target you. They won't target like a big guy.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. You're a target. Yes. Oof.
So if you're small, lean, like they're gonna target you. So if you're in a problem, let's say, in a situation. So like maybe like you were a model, right? Like you need like to have your body in a way that they want you having,
Sure.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Interesting. No, I mean, this is the conundrum that people face is, I started out on a bodybuilding traditional split, back biceps, chest triceps, and all that whole thing. And then I started jiu-jitsu. I was physically fit before training jiu-jitsu. I was 78 kilos, maybe 7-8% body fat. I was like strict macronutrients and all this stuff. I get into jiu-jitsu and I realize it's not helping. Okay, strength. I was screwing over people with strength. I could lift them, I could hold their head down like crazy in close guard, things like this. But I was in pain. My knees would kill me. I would suffer my neck and my shoulders. I felt like they were gonna fall off. Slowly but surely, I could not even work out the same way after jiu-jitsu. Like I was like, when do I work out before? I try working out before, my jiu-jitsu is worse. I try working out after, my muscles are so warm and elastic, I don't have the tension to lift the way that I lift. So I felt bodybuilding just did not complement jiu-jitsu at all for me.
It depends on the extreme, right? You have a concurrent, like two different aspects that they don't match, right? They don't match. For example, if you want to be a bodybuilder also and a guy that runs like marathons, you won't be able to do it, right? So maybe you were stressing your body in a way that it was above the needs, the jiu-jitsu needs, right? And also because also jiu-jitsu, like it's a intermittent like training. So you give like a really high intensive movement and like power and like all this motion. So high intensity like exercise, let's say, activity, and for a really short period of time. And then you have a moderated like activity, and then you can do this like back and forth. So once you have like that really huge amount of muscle, but built from a different like stimulus, like that can be also dangerous, right? Because you're going to spend your whole energy in one thing, and that's all.
Makes perfect sense, man. And that's the thing. Like I say this, and I'm talking about this with you in hopes that people listening that like feel enslaved and stuck with their workout routine go out and explore a little bit more to find like sometimes you have to test. Like for me, it might work. For you, it might not, right?
Yeah, I think you need to be useful for everything. Stuff that you do at home, stuff that you do, that you study, stuff that so if something it's making you less useful or it's not really useful for you, it just create a question mark in my mind, like why am I doing this? Because I used to work out like this too. So I used to chase muscle, but once I realized, and it went through jiu-jitsu too, like, man, like why do I need all this? When do I need all this?
It's
like,
funny you say
this. I don't need that much of muscle, you know.
Absolutely.
I don't need that much.
Listen, Cassio, it's funny you say this because let's talk about a sensitive topic. Is a lot of guys are very much attached to how they look, just as much as what they can do. And even as a jiu-jitsu, a black belt, you want to pose for that six-pack picture, you want to do that. Like a lot of guys, they're attached to it. And some people genetically respond well to that kind of stimulus. And if they don't have that kind of useless stimulus towards jiu-jitsu, let's say useless towards jiu-jitsu, they won't look like how they want. It might affect their confidence. It might affect anything. Do you think it's useless then? Or should they just do it if it makes them feel better?
I think if your look it's making you feel good, go for it. I'm not against it. What I think is if that thing it's holding you up and there's nothing else, because somehow at some point you won't be able to be fit like that, right?
Exactly.
Right. So I like one idea that we have summers and we have winters, right? So summers the light are really strong, depend of the part of the globe that you are, and the winter the light is really weak. So when it's the winter, the light's really weak, cannot produce fruits, cannot produce anything, right?
Yes.
So that's the time, in my opinion, also the doctor that I like to listen to, like that's the time that you should be more lean. And when the carbs are out there, right? Now it's hot here, it's getting hotter, all the dates are growing, right? So you're getting more carbs, like more sugary stuff. Like that's the time for you to be a little more relax about what you're eating, about carbs and stuff. So I believe in this idea, you know. I believe in this idea. So why and how a human being gonna hold a lean almost like 3%, 5% of your body fat, you know, body fat mass the whole year for years and years and years, unless that's your genetic, because my genetic is not like this. My genetic is not like this at all.
Nobody's genetic is like this, man. Anybody like this, he's genetic, but not that kind of genetics, man. That's the thing. Like, it's funny that you're saying this. Humans are interesting, man. Like, we have been built a certain way. We have patterns and cycles, just like the moon, just like the wind and the ocean. Yet we refuse them so much, man. Right?
Totally. Yeah.
Like you said, this whole concept of summer and winter. People, like, there's no fruits coming out in winter. Build a shelter. Let's make artificial fruits. It's like, why? Why can't you be okay with no fruits? Why do you have to have it? It's like a lot of it is money and economy and capitalism. And like when it comes to fitness, what you're saying is summer, the fruits are out, so you should be more relaxed, man. Tell that to all the beach guys that are like shredding for the summer. They'll have a heart attack if they listen to
you. They won't die for 5% more of fat in their body. Like for sure, they won't even change their look. Like I know some friends, they're really lean, like like you get their skin like nothing, right? When they get fat, like it's 1-2 kg up, it's the same. It's just a little bit. Like it shouldn't be that worried,
Yeah, no, I get you. I was just messing, but really, it is something interesting, like the human psychology versus human nature. Sometimes the two disconnect. The psychology goes one direction and your nature goes another. And those are the people that you find with the most physical problems. And I'm not speaking like a guru. I'm speaking from experience. I'm somebody who had a psychology in one way and a body in another. And it took me a very long time to start bearing the two together. And sometimes I slip, which is normal. But that's why, like, I want to talk to you about a different concept of physicality. Rather than physical conditioning and building, physical preparation, mobility, and functionality. This is something that me and you connect on quite a lot. What does Cassio do to stay functional, to stay mobile and agile today? To be 60 years old, playing with your kids and doing jiu-jitsu?
That's my goal, man. Like you said everything that you just explained my goal. Be older and healthy, that I can play with my grandkids. That's my goal.
That's my goal too. That's why I'm asking you this question, because I know you're a few steps ahead of me in this field.
No, I'm not. I consider myself sometimes creative, but a curious guy that reads everything that create a question mark in my mind. And sometimes I can just connect to things. Like that's why I'm using like the glasses. People were like, "Oh, why are you using the glasses?" Because I don't believe that the sun should be at midnight in the middle of your house, because it's the blue light that makes you wake up, right? Yes, open 100%. Your curtain and try to keep sleeping with your curtain open. What's going to happen? You're going to wake up. Why? There are many whys. Like it's not in the question, but
exactly. That is the question. There's a circadian rhythm. There's more to our body than we understand, and we need to get in tune with it. Like that's what you're saying.
Yeah. What Cassio does to keep like this coordination that you said that I have, I didn't know that I have, but like thank you. And my plan for the future, it's stick with the basic again with the gross motor. What's the gross motors? It's walking, throwing, and running. So I work out everything that I do with weights and without weights, or just body weights, or outside. I try to stick with that. I try to stay around that thing. And reading one book, like Homo Sapiens, it opened my mind about why our body in this shape and the monkeys, for example, in another shape.
Yes.
It's right. Like we don't have their hands to be hanging everywhere. Yes. So that's what I do. I don't hang myself anymore, like in a matter of like working out, right?
Interesting.
So I do different things. So I stick with this. I stick with the running. I stick with the throwing. I stick with the walking, and I try to mimicate those movements. So if I want to do something like more specific, I try to mimicate that movement with weights, for example. That's what I try to do.
Like
what I try to do.
if you want to be able to have a strong guard yet be able to push somebody off, you do like a Turkish get up with a kettlebell, things like this. You mean?
Yeah. What I do, for example, specific, really specific for jiu-jitsu, I think I think about the muscle, for example. Okay, so I need to hold that motion more often. So I'm gonna work in my muscle endurance. So that's how my thought of process. Okay, so I work on my muscle endurance. That's first point, and then second point, which movement do I do? Okay, let's say, as you said, pushing the guy, right? We're gonna move our hip, but let's just make it simple. Push the guy. Okay, so which movement do I do close to the running aspect, close to the jumping aspect, close to the throwing aspect that are gonna mimic that movement? And then I load it in a way, make it simple. I load it and then make it
like Spider-Man crawls. You're pushing, but you're also like you're moving your hips, you're moving your knees, things like this. Do you focus more on body movement, like body weights, or do you actually enjoy adding physical weights?
Oh, I enjoy them much. Physical weights, physical weights are the best.
Okay, good to know. So what does like a workout program look for you? Like without going too much details, but is it traditional weightlifting barbells? Is it kettlebells? Is it?
I use kettlebells. I use dumbbells. I use my body weight. I run. I walk also because it's not the same. I use a mace and clubs. So
nice, yes.
mace is like a little bit longer.
Yes.
Right. And clubs like a little bit like shorter. Yeah. But both has weights and bands because then adapting to the situation. I prefer weights and pulleys, but I don't have it here, so I use bands. That's how I work out.
Interesting. No, I definitely like that approach, and in the last while, I've been looking at rehabilitative. Actually, you know what? Prehabilitative. Before jiu-jitsu, what can I do to prepare my body? Because this is one thing that a lot of people don't consider. They wait till they get injured or have a problem to repair it, rehabilitation, or they look at a weakness to strengthen it. I learned from my friend John and from very wise people in the last few months, better to prehabilitate and prepare your body rather than suffer the consequences of not doing it. So before doing jiu-jitsu, especially if you're sitting down all day, a series of movements, running, throwing, walking, whatever it might be, to prepare your body to do them with more fine motor skills, with more refinement, with more explosivity, with a high intensity interval system. Because when you're doing jiu-jitsu, it's effectively high intensity interval training because we're shifting from low intensity, securing the position, moving, and then suddenly exploding to a position if you're on the bottom or whatever it might be, or you want to sweep. If you want to prepare your body to go to that mode, before going to the mats, you need to balance your body out. If your body is hyperextended from the back and shortened from the front, so your hip flexors, your quads are short, your abdominals are shortened, and then you want to expect yourself to be able to bridge somebody off during training, that's going to be a difficult task, right?
Yeah. Because our body like has a fascia. It's like a plastic, if I can make it simple, right?
Yes.
And if that part is restricted, which means there's no much like water in it, right? Like it's more dry, it's more dense. So what happens if I pull the plastic this way? Like I'm gonna damage the weaker part, not the thicker part, the thinner part.
100%.
So that's how I understand. And if I could give an advice in this matter, try the exercise that you just said. Take a tennis ball, and put on your quads, and then lay down there and feel. Don't do both sides at the first time. Just do one side so you can compare both ways. And if you do it, this very often, not one side, both sides, of course, but just to try, right? But if you do this more often, when you have like a tense quads, you'll be able to feel that they're tense, and then believe me or not, you're gonna have better coordination. Just understanding that I'm tense.
Yes.
Right? Because you can feel if you practice. I have been practicing this for a long time now, but I can feel when my IT bends really tense. I can feel, because
You're aware.
my right side used to be so much tense than the left side. When I release for the first time, I used to shake like this, like shake, 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 my legs shake, shake. But when I hit the right point, I could move. Like I didn't believe that I could move the way that I was moving. So nowadays, as I have that feeling, I can understand that it's tight. I'm gonna release it, and it's way easier to release. To be honest.
It's so important to have that physical awareness, man. So many guys think their pain means I need a knee surgery. They go to a doctor. The doctor, yes, sure, please, I need more money. And they put you in the MRI machine. They're like, oh, there's a little scrape that maybe you got in 3rd grade, not from jiu-jitsu. Let's remove it. But maybe you didn't need it. Maybe it's just a little bit of a release on your quad, on your hip flexor, on your hamstring, and your knee pain is gone.
Yeah, I had the experience now. I had this knee surgery, and it was not because of verdure. Like my foot got stuck, and somebody spent, and that guy did a movement and just spin, and then I hurt my meniscus, right? Like I couldn't do anything about it. I tried to avoid the surgery, I couldn't. But the point is, when I finished the rehabilitation, I finished everything, and like my muscle is still not the same as before. So sometimes I feel pain where my surgery is, and I know for a fact that my fascia is tense, or I have a restriction, or my muscle is tense. So I start to release. I play here, play that, because it's something new, right? Like I have a stitch in my meniscus. It's not something that I had before.
Exactly.
So I release here, release there, and then suddenly, like I hit the point, and then I end up, no pain anymore.
Man, so that's amazing.
Yeah, right now I know that it's my abductors. Adductors, like the inside part of my thigh, it gets really tense really fast. I'm trying to figure out why, studying, but it's really hard. But I go straight there. And my hamstring, like both get really tense fast.
Yes.
And then I just release it, and then done. Of course, exercise in the right way, but
100%.
Just releasing it.
I can relate with you on this on such a deep level, because I appreciate it. I was living in a lot of pain in my legs, a lot of pain in my shoulders, and until I discovered this MFR, like myofascial release, that's when I'm like, holy shit, man. In my mind, Cassio, I was like, fuck, I don't want to tell my wife, I don't want to tell my parents I'm feeling this pain, maybe I need to do surgery, maybe. I started getting there with my knee. And then this came like a blessing, man, and I just started it, and now my body feels loose. I'm excited to go back to jiu-jitsu.
Have you ever heard about like the Wonder Woman position? Wonder Woman posture, sorry. Wonder Woman posture? Have you ever heard about it?
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, they know that your psychologically part can shape. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
They know that the psychological part can change your posture, right?
Yes.
But they were wondering if your posture can affect your psychological part. And actually can. So there's a really nice TED talk about a girl saying that they start experimenting this woman wonder posture, right?
Yeah.
And to try to see if there is any change in somebody confident, self-confident, it actually change. So what happened to you thinking about your body that's hurt? And I thought, oh my God, I have to tell my wife, I have to tell this. What happened to your body?
100%.
Like it's your psychological part. It's your psychological part affecting your body, but also it's your body affecting your psychological part.
So true. They're interconnected. It's a vicious cycle, and that's why, man, it can get scary. If you let it go out of control, you don't know if it's the chicken or the egg. You just you need to treat the egg, and then you need to treat the chicken until you find out. It's the sad truth, man. And, but you hit a very interesting point about injuries. You said that your leg got stuck in a guy's gi pants, and that happened. What we do, and with sports, injury is not something that you try to avoid. It's something that you try to manage, because sometimes it's unavoidable. This is a part of the game.
Yeah. Once you're fully there, it's expression of art. That's my opinion about it. It's like drawing, or like painting, or like playing an acoustic guitar, or whatever, singing. I think it's an art. Because when you're angry, you tell me, like, when you're angry, do you roll with somebody else in a different way than when you're happy?
Sure.
Yeah. So you expressing yourself
Yeah.
through jiu-jitsu. So why is that pleasure? Because it's an art, right? It's the way that you express yourself.
So
So
true.
like this is the beauty of of the thing, you know. This is the beauty. It's
Absolutely.
maybe like you have a lack of not lack. I'm sorry. It's like maybe you can't express yourself through words, or you feel that, oh no, I'm too tough. I cannot say anything. But like when you go train with this guy, like he's so nice. You know, he's so like, maybe it's a huge guy. Like he's so like.
I understand.
You have to train. You have to train jiu-jitsu to feel it, man. You can know somebody training jiu-jitsu way better than 1 hour conversation.
Man, that is very true. That is very true. Like if you was to let everybody stay quiet and get 10 people on the mats, and after each roll, give me a paper and write down key things about them, I think it would be pretty damn accurate. Because everybody's different. You're rolling with them from the way they wait for you to get a grip, or they grip and run. Like they grip and knee slide. Like you know their personality type. Is this an aggressive type A man, or is this a person who's considerate and empathetic? You can tell by the way they roll.
You can feel if the guy that day is competitive. I'm not saying that he's competitive every day, you know, forever. But like that day he's really competitive, and then he's trying. So you give that to him. Okay, I'm gonna be competitive too. That's the funny part.
You try to match.
Yeah. Sometimes you just go with the flow. Sometimes you try to match. Like it depends. You know?
But those guys, man, those guys that you hold the wrong grip and they go for a wrist lock, these are psychopaths. It's not normal. These guys have childhood issues, man. And I'm talking about you, Philippe Sagat. If you ever hear this, I'm talking about him. Man, Sagat goes for my wrists every time I roll with him. He terrifies me. Every time I roll with him, because one time he caught me and like we laughed about it. Now I know when I train with him, I need to warm up my wrists before rolling.
Make sure to the myofascial release here. And
exactly.
Here.
Evil, man. Pure evil. Oh man, don't give me a paper after rolling with him. I'll have a lot of bad things to say. But to the beautiful point of our discussion today, I want to tap a little bit deeper onto BJJ for kids. This is something that's, as a parent, many people out there, they're successful black belts, they're successful jiu-jitsu people, and then they have kids of their own. Maybe they didn't spend enough time teaching kids or relating, and they want their child to be in jiu-jitsu, but they end up making them run for the hills. We need to talk about, first of all, what's the right age for kids? Like, you're seeing kids starting jiu-jitsu at 3 and 4 these days. Is that the right age? When do you think they should start?
Well, I think that as soon as your kid can understand that he's in, can understand like the teacher and the class environment, as soon as they can understand that, they can play jiu-jitsu. I think it's just a matter of understanding. Because, for example, your kid is 2 and he's able to sit and listen, even though he's not able to do 100% of the exercises from the class. Like,
got you.
But he's able to sit and listen. He's able to play jiu-jitsu. If he achieve from the 10, let's say, from the 10 activities that you do in a class, if he achieve 1 goal, he already improved. Do you understand?
Yes.
So I train this with my daughter, right? She's almost 3, but I start teaching her really small games, but really simple games. That's for adults wouldn't be fun, but for her it's super fun, and that she enjoyed that much. And for me, that's already jiu-jitsu. For example, balancing with a different body parts. So the simple thing of stepping on her hip when she was 2 and lifting her up and telling her that's the airplane. Okay, so now land the airplane. Like, how are we gonna land the airplane? Because she's stuck up there.
Okay.
So she understands to move her hips. She understands move until the time that she falls and I catch her and she laughs.
Interesting.
But I did that 1, 2, 3, 10. She's already knowing how to do it. That's not fun anymore. And have you ever heard about a flow state?
Yeah, state of
have
flow.
You ever heard about?
State
State
high.
of flow.
Yeah.
So once that thing is easy, she won't be able to hit that flow state. So I need
if it's too difficult,
step
they
forward.
won't. If it's too easy, they won't. Has to be in the middle.
Exactly. So you just build up from there. Just build up. I will tell you, small kid, like younger kids, it's really hard with a group, like a huge group. I don't advise.
Okay.
Like if you can make really small groups of kids,
Like
or
what's a small
at least
group?
like maybe 3, 4, 5,
Okay.
or you can just add, let's say higher belts, but kids in
role
your
models.
class that can help. Yeah, it works better. But
I get you.
I think 3 years old is the age that you can start.
One major issue for parents, and I speak from experience, is hyper kids. You've got kids that are shy and don't want to, or they're not interested until you excite them. And then you have other kids that are excited before you came in the class, right? So how do you handle those kids? How do you approach a hyper kid?
First, a hyper kid, they're going to explore way more than a really quiet kid, right? It's not because they are better or worse. It's just because the way that they interact with the environment, right?
Interesting.
And by doing this, if you emphasize, let's say you have John is running around, okay? Yeah. John, come here, John, John, and you have like 10 other kids in there. You're giving full attention to John, even though you're calling his attention.
You're rewarding him.
Exactly. So what you should do, you should keep going in the class, making sure that John is not breaking anything or putting himself in danger or somebody else in danger, but like make him understand that the class is going on, and that thing is fun to play, and he's
missing out.
Out of attention. Yeah. It's, oh my God, they're not looking to me. Okay, where I'm going, okay, they're doing this, okay, I'm going, come here. And then you call him, for sure he will come. Wow. Right? And don't call the attention a bad way in front of the other kids. If you have to say something, he's breaking something, right? Let's say you have to stop the action. Wait until everybody's pay attention on their game, and then call, hey John, can you come here, please? Yeah. Okay. Or you go to John, and then just quietly close to him, say, please don't do this. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna break things. Come play with me. Like that's the way to handle, because it's just focus, just guide their energy. It's like I imagine a river going down, right? You cannot stop the water. If you stop the water is still flowing. You just need to guide the water. That's all. Yeah.
Man, what an amazing, awesome answer. Does this come from experience, or were you taught this?
Experience and reading also. I think it's both.
You're clearly somebody, like everything. You're reading a lot of the same books that I'm reading, which I'm enjoying, because like we can bounce so many ideas off of. I'm so into psychology and like just human behavior and the way we've evolved. But you saying that about the hyper kids is huge. A lot of coaches run for the hills from jiu-jitsu, not from the quiet kid that doesn't want to move and he has to drag him across the mats. They run from the hyper kids, because those kids climb on his back, jump on the roof. They're the ones that kind of get injured. And it's like the coach like, fuck this responsibility. I don't want this. And they run out, Your advice for anybody listening right now, this is like really important. And I hope it helps people move for this. Another thing I wanted to ask you is the whole mindset of fun versus competition for kids. We tend to, especially here in the UAE, push a lot for competition. Is this the right attitude for children, or should we focus more on the fun for them?
Most of the fun. I have my own experience, so maybe I'm biased to say that, but I had a lot of pressure on myself, and I didn't like that. To be honest, nowadays I really enjoy competing. I'm just not competing because of my life, but back there, I had a really bad experience competing. So and because of the pressure, So my approach to this is understanding that there are some kids that they handle well this experience, and some kids that they don't handle well. So it's not pushing, but at least make them try. It's like when you're gonna give a food to a kid that that's not tasty, right?
Yeah.
So you make them try first.
Mm.
Okay, I don't like this. Oh, how do you know that you don't like it if you never try? Right? That's the first excuse that you can do. Okay, I didn't like it. I ate the broccoli. I didn't like it, or I fought the tournament. It's too much for me. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Because I can cook the broccoli in a different way. I can make a soup. It's the tournament's the same. It can be a festival. I can push him and this like um, self-confident thing in a presentation, for example. I can make him do a presentation. It doesn't need to be a really competition and like everybody's shouting. Like it
I
can be
get you.
scared and like and then like with the time, without the pressure, but with the try, you like like the flower can bloom. That's.
I like how you put that, because you just remind me of, like, I forgot this. Wendell, when he was on this podcast, he was saying Copa Kids, the reason it was such a success is because he focused on it as a festival for the kids rather than a competition.
Exactly.
All the kids were on the podium. All the kids had fun. It was games, and the warm-up areas was like coaches doing group warm-ups with everybody. So the experience, like I wish to see more of that competition around jiu-jitsu, especially for the kids. Obviously, just for the kids. Adults
So
jumping jacks
special.
together would be weird. But the kids, man, I feel from my nephew's experience, it was almost traumatizing. I felt I'm sitting in the bullpen with the kids sitting down, and you can smell, when you smell fear in kids? It's just this nervous smell. It has a smell to it. You walk into it and you see all the kids sitting down, looking at each other. They're nervous. They have cold sweat. And you're like, man, I feel sorry for these kids, man. You're like, they shouldn't be going through this at this age, and with jiu-jitsu, it's going to give them a bad memory. So I'm confused, because like some people, they want to teach them that life is not easy. It's difficult. You got to fight through things that make you afraid. But is that the right age? Like, what's the right age to compete in that format, you think?
You can be more specific after like 7 and 8 years old. You can like push your kid to do something more specific in their life.
Yes.
But it's all about what you like to do. There is also the emotional intelligence book, right? They say they say like this. They took like 5% of a really nice, like higher students from a class, like a painting class, and they follow up with them like in years later. So the ones that really enjoy doing that, they tend to study more that thing. They tend to have fun doing that thing. They tend to stick more with that thing instead of chasing something else, painting like something, right?
Yes.
Which means that if your kid likes competing, go for it, because he enjoys. It's a good experience for him. But if your kid struggle with his feelings while he's competing, he needs something easier to build up from there.
I see. So to get him back to competing.
You can build up if you think that's the best for your kid. But like throwing him to the sharks, I don't think is the best approach.
I totally understand. That makes sense for me. Yeah, you mentioned on this whole perspective, like the fun and the willingness to do it. Do you feel sometimes making jiu-jitsu too available reduces their excitement for it or their interest in it? Just like when, for example, I don't know how to explain it. Like imagine a kid, he loves swimming. He loves the swimming pool. But then the swimming pool is every day and swimming is every day and he gets to sit in the bathtub every day. Suddenly he doesn't like it anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's a balance between availability and rarity. You see kids growing up in Brazil crying when they get their first gi and like just begging to be on the mat. And then you have some kids here that like, man, please get me away from, I'm nauseous just thinking jiu-jitsu, because they just, jiu-jitsu, you have to compete, sheikh, and go stand in front of this guy. It's like, no, man, just leave me alone. What's the balance to keep kids interested in jiu-jitsu?
Well, it's a hard question. It's a hard question.
But it needs to be asked.
It's a hard question. Like the right balance, I think it's like...
Should it be optional?
Okay. Yes, should be optional. Yeah, should be optional. But okay, the first aspect, okay, like information, it's everywhere, right? So jiu-jitsu will be available now on YouTube if you type it. So the fun aspect of jiu-jitsu, I think, in my opinion, it was always like that, being creative, okay, and being able to express yourself.
Yes.
Right. So if you understand that jiu-jitsu is a lifestyle and like a way to interact with people, so networking, you know, a way to have fun, a way to get all those things that I told, like the benefits that I told you that we have been discussing.
Yes.
I think the competition comes with this, right? It's not. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like, okay, it's mandatory. You have to go, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't be like that.
I think, is they come in good intentions, and we see this in different formats and different areas. Sometimes by making it mandatory, even if they would have wanted to do it, they no longer want to do it. And this is just part of human psychology. Like if you force somebody to do this, they want to also express their freedom. So they will rebel within the class when they wouldn't have rebelled if they chose to be there. The same person. And this is where a discussion needs to start coming out. Because, for example, the Palm Sports Initiative with the schools, this is like, it's an experiment that nobody has done before. They're literally charting uncharted territories and providing jiu-jitsu, the community, I would even say the world of sports, not even martial arts, a blueprint for what's possible when you implement something for kids at an early age. Clearly, we're getting incredible talent in the UAE now. Clearly, like there's no doubt about this right now. The amount of respect people are giving sports in the younger generation. 20 years ago, man, I grew up here. We couldn't give a shit about sports. Like, what? We want to go to the shisha cafe. Like, that's sports for us. You know, who could take the longest breath and make the most O's? This was our competitions. Today, the guys, the kids growing up are growing up nutrition, weight cutting, fighting, preparing for camps and preparing for competitions. Like, this is completely amazing. On the flip side is you're ending up with also many kids underappreciating or rebelling against sports, which can go the other direction. As an experiment, why do we do an experiment? Not to force results. We do an experiment to see results and to be able to choose and to correct the experiment. We can't just force the experiment the whole time. So I definitely would like and hope to see, and I'm curious, if suddenly jiu-jitsu in schools at a young age becomes voluntary, right, and optional, but the cool Brazilian guys coming to teach are still there, right? The classes are still fun. And because now it's optional, the kids that really want to be there are there. The kids are going to see those jiu-jitsu kids in the lunchtime talking about jiu-jitsu because they only wanted to be in jiu-jitsu. They're going to see them with the accent like the Brazilian guys speak English. And now it's, oh shit, this is cool. Now this is a cool club. How can I get in? I really believe this will bring out an interesting balance. And I hope to see it in the near future. It'll become more valuable.
Yeah. I agree with you with some points, but I think I really think that they should give a try. They should have this part because
experimenting one school.
Yeah, I mean like the kids should try the jiu-jitsu, right? Because I am the one. I am one jiu-jitsu coach, right? And like it's different from a random gym, because a gym, I sign up because I want to be there. My father's paying, my mom's paying because I want to be there, right?
Yeah.
Few cases will be, oh, now in timeout, you are going to jiu-jitsu. I don't think it will be something, right? But
for sure.
And in this situation that we have here, the kids. Some kids, they don't know what to expect. So they learn nowadays, they learn from their cousins at home. So they are more excited, right? But also there are kids that their cousins, their brother, they don't like. So how do you know if you like something if you didn't try?
Absolutely.
That's really hard. So if you have that class that can be easy going, really easy going, not really like a gym jiu-jitsu class, right?
Yes.
Not really that. To make them try, like it can be something true, you know. We can have good results with that.
That's very interesting. Like having a trial week, and then in the end, the kids have a paper and they choose yes or no. I think just having that choice, you will be amazed how many choose yes. I truly believe so. And if they choose no, then allow them to change their mind after a month. And you will see how many will end up yes, because giving people that freedom, why do we talk about freedom of rights, USA? Why do they fight for it? And they have an entire military supporting freedom. You know what I mean? Like, it's because freedom is a big thing for human psychology. It doesn't matter if you're really free. Huh? This is an important part, because a lot of times it's used as a way to move, but it's not really free. But as long as
the feeling of being free, right?
The feeling of freedom, that's what we want, right? We don't really want to be free, because if you sit down and think about freedom, you're lost, man. It's not what you want. But you want to feel like I could have made that decision.
Exactly. I agree.
I think kids, more than adults, because they don't have filters, they didn't learn the way of life, they rebel much quicker when you remove their freedom. When you treat them like a river and you guide the river intellectually, you will get much better results than when you like put a rock in the middle of the river.
I share the same opinion. I share the same opinion.
One question I did not ask you that is also very important for the guys and for me. Parents. Do you allow parents, now obviously you're teaching in schools, but like in a gym environment, do you allow parents, cousins, brothers, sisters to sit and watch and be in the classroom with students, or do you prefer them being outside?
I think it's important, depend of the age, of course, but I think it's important to let them get in, but being really honest about the behavior that they should have there. And also, in the first, second try, some kids, they are more naive, some kids, they're more shy, so they're going to rely on the parents to be playing the class. And some kids, they want the parents' approval, so they're going to be doing something that they think that their parents gonna be proud of them.
Yes.
Even like being disrespectful with somebody, maybe. So it's a really like delicate subject, but I think you should evaluate each case, because some cases it's going to be bad to have a parent there.
Because like there's some parents that will shout at their kids.
Shout at the kids, pushing them much, or there will be the parents that they don't give any attention to their kids at home. So the kids are trying to find, well, I'm here. So, but they won't be at I'm here. It will be like, I'm gonna beat everybody up. I'm not respecting anybody, like. So it depends of the case. You can have like good results having the parents there, or you can have like bad results. And this area, like, it's not black or white in this matter, I think.
I get you, and because some people do consider it black and white, and they just parents outside. Right? What you're saying is maybe even having parents included in the first week or something to just feel and understand what they should and shouldn't do. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, give it a try.
Man. No, man, I mean, everything that you've shared, like, it has been so valuable, because a lot of people, there's sensitive topics, there's personal topics that they don't openly discuss in Jiu-Jitsu. And I think the more we do, the more we have a platform like this where we get to share these interesting ideas. It doesn't have to be right or wrong, just to talk about it. Maybe somebody listening be like, oh man, this is something I was thinking about. I didn't know some other people are, and let me reach them. Let me reach Cassio. Let me ask him more. And I hope I hope they do, because you've been active on social media, and I've been very happy to see it. Like, this Corona phase, I feel, has allowed you and many other people to really dig in and generate more value towards Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have like the background, or I don't feel that I don't have a really huge background, because I feel myself young yet. I when I look forward, I want to achieve so much inside this field, and I wish I could come back to the podcast a few years from now, a couple of years from now.
It would be a pleasure.
Like, to share with you like what did I learn, what I'm doing, but. I try to start this social media thing because I feel that I was always the weird guy, the different guy, and I didn't really try to fit in anywhere. I think it's a quality on me, and this is for a couple environments around Jiu-Jitsu. This is a hard decision to make, but when people get to know me, they see that It's just a weird guy. There's nothing bad in that guy. So I think
Not at
like
all.
sharing the ideas and like having these discussions is something that for me touch my heart. If I can touch like others' heart and I can help somehow just to give them voice too, that would be amazing. For me, that will be
Well said, man. Well said. And that's what I love about you, man. Like, you're a very sincere and genuine guy. You have already, like, whether you know it or not, you've been a positive impact on me because you opened my mind to this initially. Like, we had this conversation on Instagram about functional training and functional patterns. And that's when I'm like, there's another thing that I don't know about. And the thing is, like, you call it weird, and I kind of understand because I share some of that in common. I wasn't like this. I was the typical person that lived in an echo chamber. I used to just like to be in an environment that reassured everything I believed. And when something came in new, like jiu-jitsu came once to my life and I was not ready to receive it, and I rejected it because I heard words like guillotine and I heard words like triangle choke and what is this WWE? Like, in my mind, my state of mind was not ready. It wasn't ready to accept it, man. So, and now I look, I'm like, man, you idiot. If you just were open-minded, you would have typed jiu-jitsu on the internet, but you didn't even do that because I looked at the person who said it with a bias. And it's such a loss when you live life that way, because when you see somebody wearing red glasses, and I'm not pointing them out, when you see somebody talking about topics, this mosquito is back, man, I see it. I was talking about, there's this fucking mosquito that's attacking me every podcast. It waits till I say something emotional and nice and bzzz. but as I was saying, man, like, it's these moments that challenge your inner beliefs, that challenge your perception of what's right and what's wrong. These are the moments that give you the biggest growth. Just like the guys that challenge you on the mats and make you think your game is shit, these are the guys that change your game, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate having people like you around us and you're like in our community, man. This is, again, we were mentioning this in the beginning of the podcast. We have gems here, right here in the Middle East, people to talk to learn from. Just ask, just talk. Don't be shy. Like, people like you, you're such a nice guy to talk to. Just people need to talk to you. You look Hulk mode, but you're a very nice guy to talk to.
Hulk mode.
You like that picture, didn't you?
Oh my God.
You're wearing the same shorts. You're wearing the same shorts.
I was trying the intermittent diet, like the one that you don't eat for long hours.
Yeah, Ramadan.
It was just a first try. Yeah, the Ramadan. But like with water, I think it's a little bit better. I think a little bit better. So it was crazy for me, man. So when I took that picture, I was really angry that I achieved the way that I wanted to go compete. So I just expressing myself.
Now we have some concept to think of why that picture came in.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Listen, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hope you enjoyed your time on the podcast.
For sure, man. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Man, absolutely my pleasure. Guys, everybody on YouTube, thank you for tuning in, checking it out. We've had some comments back and forth. I see about it. Que óculos é esse?
Which glass is this?
That's from Shanji Nascimento. Luis Carlos Martins, grandes professores e o reconhecimento como os mesmos. And
nice teachers and the knowledge from them.
Yes, lots of love, man, and you deserve all the love you get. Everybody to reach you that are interested in learning from you a little more, your Instagram is down below. Is that where people should reach you?
Yeah, Instagram. I have also Facebook. It's just my name, Cassio Martins, at page. Just Facebook or Instagram. I think it's the easiest way to find me.
Perfect. I'll add your Facebook
anything
link.
That I can help. Anything, if I can help, I'll be happy.
There you have it, guys. Listening on the audio podcast or watching it right here, just tap down onto the description. You'll get the links to Cassio's social media handles and you can reach him there. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for tomorrow's podcast. It's going to be fire. Much love, everybody. See you guys.